All right, now the last generation is Gen Z, born 1997 to 2012. How many of you guys are Gen Zers? I'm a Gen Zer. Hi, guys. They make up 18% of the workforce, and the way I remember Gen Z is that they are the bite-sized digital natives. And bite is kind of a pun to make fun of our short attention spans, because yeah, we've got short attention spans. So we have to remember that Gen Z is going to swing the pendulum to the other side to create a generation of unparalleled anxiety. We've got a lot of really great things about us as well, but the mental health in our generation is just at an all-time low, and here's why. There's a couple of reasons, but I want to reference smartphones, the introduction of them in 2010, the comparison culture, the highlight reel, always knowing what other people are doing all the time. Our brains are not wired to process this much information. And so there's this influencer culture and thinking that everybody has it better than we do, but in reality, the grass is not always greener on the other side, guys. In fact, most of the time, it's not, unless it's turf, which isn't real grass. And then if we want to escape our reality, we can escape to virtual reality, so we don't have to deal with our feelings and emotions. So it's a lot of pent up things that we're not dealing with as Gen Z. And again, I want to mention, I don't reference these things so that we walk on eggshells with Gen Z. This is to understand how they communicate and show up so that we can mentor them and build into the next generation of leaders. A lot of Gen Z also mentioned the 2008 recession, older Gen Zers seeing their mom and dads go through that economic instability. And this bore a lot of creativity and entrepreneurial spirit. So our generation is kind of the side hustle generation. How many of you guys have a side hustle or know somebody who has a side hustle? Side hustle just meaning a way to make income that isn't employed by another person. That's how I'll define that. And then we've got COVID-19. We've got cancel culture. So now in our socially developmental years, we're distanced from people. We're alienated from communities that are meant to build into our characters. We can't read people's facial expressions because we have masks on. And then we can't even share our own thoughts and opinions. God forbid we say something that's going to get us canceled. We don't even know what we believe anymore because we're so concerned with making sure that other people accept us and agree with us. And then mental health, like I said, it's at an all-time low. So I just want to emphasize, when you're working with Gen Z, I want you to remember that they value having purpose because we're constantly exposed to all the evil and all the terrible things going on in the world all of the time. So we want to have a positive impact in the workforce, in our lives. We value empathy and diversity and inclusion. We value flexibility and we value experiences. So this is how you might motivate a Gen Zer versus materialistic things. And when you're talking to a Gen Zer, I want you to remember the acronym BITE. B standing for be brief, quick, and concise. Because yeah, our attention spans are a little bit shorter than the older generations, that's okay. So just be brief and quick and concise. You don't have to include a 6-page PDF if it could have been a bulleted list. Y, yield to their strengths. Help Gen Z to leverage their strengths. I always say that when I have a kid, if he's really, really good at playing the trumpet but gets C's in math, my first investment is gonna go to a trumpet instructor, not a math tutor. Because we need to be coached, we need to be mentored, and when we leverage our strengths, we engage Gen Z. We engage everybody when we leverage our strengths, but Gen Z in particular. And then T stands for talk like a human. Once again, be authentic. We want to be able to relate to you guys, so just talk to us like we're human beings. You can mentor us while also treating us like humans and adults. And then E, engage with visual components or go digital. So if you can send a meme or a TikTok or a video compilation, probably better than a PDF for Gen Z. That's all I'm gonna say. So I just want to remind you guys why I'm here talking about this, because a lot of you guys are young leaders and you're gonna be building in to the next generations to come. And so I want to emphasize that this work is so powerful, and that's why I do this research, and that's why I share these kinds of things, because it's about relationships. It's about understanding, and it's about community. And when we invest in our relationships, we actually reduce all the things that make life not so great, like stress and burnout and at work, conflict and turnover, and we increase the things that make life worth living. Joy and creativity, engagement and performance, and overall that leads to longer, healthier lives and more successful businesses. So I want you to remember these 4 points. When you are talking to people at work and at home, just remember that everybody has these generational similarities, but we're all our own individuals. This is just to help you scratch the surface from a place of curiosity, because that's where we build deep understanding and trust and commitment. So baby boomers, they need the blueprint. Give them context. Gen X marches to the beat of their own drum. Let them be their independent selves. Millennials bring the best dish to the potluck. Give them an opportunity to express themselves. And Gen Z are the bite-sized digital natives. Help them to leverage what they are great at, which might oftentimes include digital platforms. So if you want to improve the communication on your team, these are some questions that you can scratch the surface. Normally, in the workshops that I do and the executive coaching programs that I lead, we really dive into the areas that teams want to improve and where we might have deficiencies. And so we have the conversations, we do the exercises in the workshops and the one-on-one calls. But these are just basic level questions that you could ask the people that you work with. Maybe even your relationships at home. Where could we improve our communication? We all need to hear feedback. And so I think it's really valuable when we put ourselves in that vulnerable position to be able to hear what other people think about us and how they perceive our communication. And then thinking about this for yourself. What do you value in working together with others? Do you like instantaneous communication? Do you appreciate when people are present and on time? What do you value? And then this is the most important question, if not just for your team, but for yourselves. What are your strengths? And how do you leverage them at work or at home? But what are your strengths and how can you expand on those rather than focusing on weaknesses all the time?